Welcome to Driven AF Recovery.
Love that fucking energy. Welcome!
Took a fucking 1DD for it. better than cocaine and crack.
Now we're ready. Now it's a party.
So, welcome everyone. I'm Maddie.
I'm Josh.
Steve.
I'm Jimmy.
Brian.
And I'm Ryan.
Alright, we are going to talk about, once again, our alumni topic from tonight, which I don't think I can rival Doc's monologue, but you know, we're going to do our best. Give it a go. But it's about patience and immediate versus delayed gratification. I feel like that's all part and parcel of the same thing. I'm going to start off with an idea that I have been sharing in my groups for fucking a long time, years. And this is stuff I've learned from other people, but I found it to be true. I always say the difference, like for me, with like the short term or the immediate gratification and the delayed is like everybody wants to talk about, all right, to have delayed gratification, you have to sacrifice things. True story, right?
Mm-hmm.
You give up certain things for a greater good in the long term for a longer term return, right? Return on investment, so to speak.
Right.
So I like to tell the guys, and I like to do it myself, like I would rather look at it as an investment. I look at what I'm gaining instead of what I'm giving up to get there. Because then my focus and my attention is on what I'm gonna gain instead of, fuck, I gotta give this up. It's just it's a perspective switch entirely. That's all it really is, but I would rather look towards what's going to come instead of what I'm giving up to get there. So I don't know, that's my start.
Very true. And like,
But that takes fucking patience.
For sure.
Kind of like what you're buying with that, but it's not such a quick transaction.
Well, I started to learn it when I started to learn how to invest money, to be honest. I was like, oh, I can put this in and I get 6% back on top of what I put in later. I was like, oh, but this is the same shit with everything. So instead of looking at the $10 I just gave up or the change from my roundup that I'm not even noticing,
No.
then I can, like, when I look at my account like 3 months later and I got a shit ton of more money than I did when I started, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not thinking, I'd rather think about that.
Right.
Looking at it in a couple months and seeing I got $5,000, $10,000, whatever, instead of like, oh, I'm losing this change at $20 a week right now.
yeah, and it's the later that matters, where the whole topic of patience comes in, is like, you're being patient or being still. That was weighing pretty heavily on my mind and my heart tonight, and I'm kicking myself for not saying it at alumni, but being still in the moment and just waiting for the process to do its work, so that 3 months or even 2 weeks later, whatever work you're putting in right now, you will see the return investment or the results of it, whatever the time frame may be.
Well, let's be honest, like even like some of those like positive results, like that video I sent all the motherfuckers today, are gonna be in like 6 months or a year or a couple years or maybe 5 years or a fucking decade, but it depends on what you're trying to get out of life. But nonetheless, it's gonna come. But you have to have a little faith, right?
Right.
This work and this time and what I am giving up is going to result in this return. But it always does. Sometimes it does take years. I mean, fuck, I've seen that in my own life now. Do I like it? No, because I'm impatient. I want shit now. But I've just come to the acceptance of the idea that if I want what I want to get long term, then it's going to take a long time. And I'm going to have to work at it every day until I get there.
And I think that's, to me, like, what that kind of speaks to is the difference in mentality and mindset between, like, active addiction and recovery. And kind of like that period that you go from active addiction and early recovery, right? Like, the short-term thinking to long-term thinking, right? It's like, so where does the idea of immediate gratification or instant gratification come from? It comes from because when in addiction, we just take whatever the fuck we want. We don't give a fuck about the consequences.
And we feel it within minutes, typically, or
Exactly.
an hour anyway.
You know,
Whatever it is.
steal to get your high, get fucked up right away so you don't feel this emotion, right? Everything's immediate. So I think the process of change that we go through early on, it's frustrating because it's not something we're used to. We're not used to putting in and waiting for results, right? Actually having to work for something and understand that like, this is gonna benefit me long run. Like it's not benefiting me right now, so what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's something we just learn over time, you know what I mean? It's not like, I think that's why so many of us, myself included, and guys here, like, they don't really understand, kind of grasp that concept, that like what you're doing now is for your long-term gain, right? You are looking at this as a sacrifice, which is not even the right way to look at it to begin with, but to me, that's a whole nother fucking story.
Yeah. Whole nother
Right.
topic.
You're actually learning, like, right, you're learning a skill to work and be rewarded for your hard work later. You know, what are you really sacrificing, you know what I mean, with patience? No, it's not like, you know, that's why I don't even like the, you know, short-term sacrifice for long-term gain thing. Or like the instant gratification versus delayed gratification. It's like, we are fucking grown adults. We're not children, okay? You know, like, you work for things. They don't just fucking happen. They don't fall on your fucking lap. You work for them. If you want something better, you've already decided before you start working for it that this is what you want, right? So you start putting in the work for it.
Okay.
So you've already decided that you're willing to pay the price, which is gonna mean that you have to be patient during this process, because you understand, right? Kinda like what I was talking about earlier. Understand, right? Understand what the fuck I'm doing, and it's gonna take time.
Elaborate on that. I think that was a good fucking point you made earlier.
Well, with anything, man, like so I was talking earlier about like how I've been practicing to learn patience is just by trying to be more understanding of myself, situations, people, you know? Cause look, man, I was pretty fucking stupid and arrogant and ignorant and egotistical in active addiction and coming through treatment centers, thought I knew everything, right? Thought my way was fucking better, right? Some of you guys I know can relate.
Yeah. Oh, I raised.
And so, you know, I think about that now and I understand, like, dude, look at how you were, right? So when I get frustrated with working with guys, when I'm like, this motherfucker just doesn't get it. You know what I mean? Like you
Every
can't
day.
possibly be this stupid, you know, and then I think about myself, right? Think about myself back then, think about where I was mentally back then, so I can understand a little bit, like, all right, I understand why this guy doesn't fucking get what the hell I'm talking about right now, because I wouldn't have been able to grasp it either, you know? So I have a little understanding. So I'm like, okay, instead of getting frustrated and losing my patience with him, I, you know, bring myself back a little bit, say, okay, let me understand where this guy's at and try to go from where he's at here with my 2-year-old daughter. I get frustrated, right? Okay, she's 2, right? She's gonna test me. She's testing boundaries, she's learning, right? She's developing her own personality, right? All these things. And with the work I'm doing, like I said, like I understand that what I'm trying to create for myself and for my life is a decision I made a long time ago. And that's something I set out to do a long time ago. And I understood from day one that this was not gonna be something that was done and acquired over 2 years.
Right.
I understood that this was like a 5 to 10 year thing. So it gets frustrating at times, yeah. But I stop and I think, and I have this, the other part which I didn't mention tonight was this like internal dialogue. I don't know if any of you guys do this with yourself, but I literally talk to myself like all day long.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like, I get frustrated and then it's just in my head, okay, dude, like, you knew what you were getting into. Did you really think that you weren't gonna encounter shit like this along the way? Did you really think that it was just gonna be right to that life we're trying to create and right to smooth parenting, no fucking talk back or resistance from your child and 2-year-old, and it was just
Or
gonna
the
be,
guys
just
in
gonna
here.
be a perfect fucking, you know what I mean? Or the guys in here, right, that it was just gonna be, never gonna have a you know, a kind of confrontational kind of person or personality, a difficult one. Come on, man. You know what the fuck.
Like you were just saying, it's your 2-year-old daughter, and I mean, I'm not excluding myself from this, but sometimes the mentality of the guys, including me,
Very
sat
similar.
in here,
Very
is
similar.
probably that of a teenager, if I was lucky, on a good day.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, just more understanding, man. And like, that's what I literally talk to myself and I'll stop myself when I feel myself getting like frustrated or stressed out or losing patience. And I'm like, dude, you know.
I've been having to do this a lot
You know,
lately.
yeah, like, the internal dialogue and try to remind myself, like, dude, you need to be more understanding. You know what I mean? Like, this shit, we knew that this was gonna be a challenge. You asked for this, motherfucker. You signed up for this. You brought this girl into this world. You took this job, wanted this job, asked for this job, right? You're the one who wants this for your life, right? You're the one who wants this, is trying to create this. You asked for it. You wanted it, you know what I mean? Kind of like what Doc was talking about, like, this is what I was planning on gaining from all this,
Right.
all the things that come with it. So I knew, right, that it was like, it was gonna be worth the surrender, right?
I love it.
So,
That's good stuff.
Sorry, I feel like I kinda went on too long.
No, I think you made that was good. Oh, I think that was good.
There's a lot of solid points there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
So,
yeah.
like, when I first started thinking about patients, and I mentioned this at alumni, but generally speaking, none of us are good at it. And so when we first get sober, we're met with that resistance or perceived resistance when, I guess, surrender is in order, right? Like, because we do want this, and when we are seeking after something, we almost naturally have to give up part of our old selves to gain part of a new life. And if we're not patient enough to get that, then why are we doing it? So I tie in the why aspect of why am I having to be patient for my license situation to be resolved? Because motherfucker, you want to drive, so sit down, shut up, and wait. There's literally nothing you can do to control that aspect. You're waiting on a letter to come from the government. You knew what you were in for.
And you're the one who fucked it up in the first place.
Exactly.
That's what I reminded myself of.
Sorry,
Oh, man.
sorry, man.
No, but deal with it. Like, we did this to ourselves. So we can't. I fucking killed it today in the gym. There's a little side note. It was awesome. I thought I was gonna throw up. It was great.
The gym was
Sorry, I
an
didn't-
example
I
of
didn't-
patience though, that didn't start out like.
No, it did not. And believe me, it took some fucking hard work. But to get where I want to go, which I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm making strides and I can see the progression. When the guys like, when these guys see the progression, it's like, oh, look at that. So, in the journey, you'll hit those little high blips, right? Little positive speed bumps, I'll call them. And that strengthens the resolve to keep going to the bigger goal that's over here. But you gotta sit down, shut up, and enjoy the journey. Because that's when your resistance turns it into suffering.
Don't mind me, continue.
No, I think that's great what you said. Like when you mentioned those small little rewards throughout the time, but those rewards come few and far between on your way through those journeys. Most of it is just working towards that. You know what I mean? And it's hard work. For me personally, I get a lot of patience just from having faith in the process. It's a proven and tried method that if you continuously put in the effort, then you will end up with a reward at the end of it. And patience was something I knew nothing about 5.5 months ago. And what I've learned is that anybody is capable, anybody's capable of reaching these goals. But those people who have reached these huge goals, these people who you look up to, these guys who are doing podcasts and their life is just so wonderful. They didn't start out that way. They didn't get there in 6 months. You know what I mean? These are people who have been working at it for years and years and years and years.
Decades.
And to me, that to me makes me realize like I am on this huge journey. And so I mentioned it tonight, like it'd been 5.5 months, I'm just over 5.5 months in my sobriety, and I feel like I've been putting in so much effort and so much work. But I'm only 39 years old. If I make it to 80, that means I have 40 more years to keep working at it, What is 5.5 months at that point in time? So I kind of get lost in myself, like thinking, wow, I'm putting in all this effort. What am I really accomplishing, And the reality is it doesn't matter what I'm accomplishing right now. I have to talk to myself internally and say, you are doing the right thing. You're moving forward. And as long as I can continue to convince myself of that and honestly do that, not just convince myself of that, but honestly do the right thing every day, that helps to bring me the patience knowing that a reward will come. When will it come? When will I ever actually be comfortable? Honestly, I hope never. Like, my goal is to always keep working to get better. But when will I be able to pull up in my driveway, in my car, at my house, with my kids, and grill in my grill, and cook in my kitchen, you know what I mean? When will I be able to have these things where I can sit back and look and be like, I'm comfortable? Now it's time to start focusing on another bigger goal, you know? I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I have to remind myself every single day that it will happen, so long as I continue to put in that effort. And that's what I said earlier about having these smaller goals, because I don't care what anybody says, I still want instant gratification. And I know that I'm not gonna get instant gratification on this big, huge, difficult thing that I'm trying to accomplish. So what I have found is instant gratification in the little steps that I'm accomplishing on the way. And I take pride in these little things that I'm doing. And that's the gratification for me. It's just the pride knowing that I'm accomplishing these little steps every single day. And I look forward to the day when I can sit there and look and say, yeah, it was worth it. Just like they said it would be, you
What?
know?
That makes a lot of sense, because like, you talked about like faith in the process, and I just look at it as like faith in myself now, but I didn't have that when I first started out,
Right.
right? And how I got that was those little short-term goals you're speaking about, right? And it was nice, cause yeah, it makes you feel good, you know, you get a little dopamine fucking rush, or you feel good, confidence boost, and you're like, oh man.
I want more of that.
Yeah. Pretty nice, maybe
And it will
maybe
just
I'm not
flourish.
completely fucking fucked.
It'll naturally just flourish into something bigger.
Right, and all these things, right? Because now you've created a little bit of belief and trust in yourself. That you're like, hey man, I'm not completely fucking incapable.
You are
I
capable.
can do some shit.
I do have
Yeah.
life skills.
Right. You're basic life skills. And, yeah.
When I got in my first sober house, my goal was to make my bed for a week. When I did that, I was like, whoa! I haven't done that since I was behind a grasshopper.
I still.
I still don't. Steve and I are on the same page here.
And I know we've had that conversation, but like that is huge. And guess what I do every morning now? I make my
But that's
damn
what I
bed.
mean though, right? Like, cause it's like we're, you know, like, yeah, we have to like, in order to think big term, we have to kind of like have some belief and faith in ourselves, right? In order to even get to the point of needing patience with your goals. But if you don't have any trust or belief in yourself, well, like you're just, why would you even attempt that?
Right.
And what you're speaking about, the short-term goals, that kind of give you that little bit of, I call it, I don't even know if I refer to it as instant gratification. It's more like that intermediate gratification until you get to that, you know, like bigger things or whatever.
Confidence in your
Yeah,
skill
exactly.
level.
However you wanna
Yes.
perceive it, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, I'm not gonna split hairs, but that's what gives you that belief in yourself to keep going and keep pushing and be like, I can't fucking do this. I need to just keep doing what the fuck I've been doing, cause I keep proving to myself that I can achieve the things I set out to do. So yeah, this thing might seem huge right now, and this life that you were just speaking of might seem, you know, very, very difficult or so far away. Right, but it's really not. It's always closer than you think. If you just keep working on these things, one little fucking step and one little goal at a time, and next thing you know, like you said, you'll be looking back and you'll be like, damn.
Well, and another thing to think about too is if that goal is so far away, people constantly say, you get out what you put in, right? So if you're putting in years and years and years, guess you're gonna get years and years and years worth of reward from that. If you're putting in a couple of days, you're gonna get a couple of days worth of reward. You know what I mean? So you get in what you put out. And if you're putting out years and years, you need the patience to be able to keep going. Day after day, month after month, year after year.
Or you keep putting deposits in the junkie account and fucking you're gonna get a result from that too.
Ooh.
I did that for 15 years
We all did.
and that culminated in homelessness. And now, I was just talking to the guys in the truck on the way back because they were like, you know, they know what I have now. And I was like, well, by the way, because all three of the guys that came in with were brand new like 2 days ago. Like, by the way, I was homeless with no license, car, or money by less than 5 years ago. So things do change. You don't even see it happening while it's happening sometimes. I mean, I sit back now and I leave and I'm like, see, my whole family's there, the kids, the grandkids, and like all this shit. I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
You made it happen.
Well, no, I know that's the answer, but it's just
But
like,
it's like,
what the fuck?
You have a place for them to be for.
I imagine that, I know, it's fucking
Oh.
mind blowing sometimes, but.
This is a beautiful thing.
What?
What, dude?
I wanna hear what you guys are saying.
What you were saying, and you, I mean, there's to me, like, there's I guess patience for me is really like my goals. Meaning like, I set them goals, so like, I know it's not gonna be like, oh shit, like, oh, I want that, so I can get it right now. But if I keep on working towards it,
You'll get it.
I keep on doing the right thing, eventually it's gonna happen. And to me, that's my, like, patience to me is, I just gotta keep on working it. I mean, and that's all aspects of my life, my work life, my home life, you know, like, I know my wife's gonna piss me off, she's gonna test my patience. Like, it happens. Anybody that's married in this room knows.
I test my wife more than she tests me.
No, I mean,
To be quite honest, in my face.
You know, but it's one of those things, it's that, at the end of the day, it's my goals. It's the goal that, okay, we gotta wait for this. That instant gratification got me to where I was at.
What that sounds like to me is you understand pretty well, and you've already made the decision that your goals are worth it, right? So you made the decision that you were gonna put the work in, and you understand that it's not gonna come overnight.
I mean, I want it to come over.
Of course, we all fucking do.
But it's not gonna happen. But I mean, at the end of the day, I know it's not, but I know if I keep on working towards it, I've got a lot better chance of attaining that by working towards it than doing nothing.
I thought to myself the other day, I'm like, if
A
I
lot
could
better
just,
chance.
You know,
But doing nothing gives you
Doing
zero
nothing
chance.
gives me nothing.
$15,000, I turn it into millions, and this would all be fucking great, but that's just not gonna
Wait, what?
happen. If I can get
No,
somebody
but
to
I will
just
say
give me
this
50
much.
grand,
Yeah,
I turn it into millions and I'll be fine.
you would?
Absolutely.
what's my,
At this point,
what's my
I would not
return?
smoke crack with it, I would not get high with it, I would invest it properly,
Yeah.
and I would make a fortune off of it, but guess what?
Ain't
I
gonna happen.
don't have it, okay? I don't have it.
But you will.
And I don't know anybody that's gonna hand it
They
to
can
me.
have it.
Exactly, but I'm saying, I want it right now. I just want it right now. Right fucking
Well,
now.
that's the difference though. Somebody handed me 50 grand 5 years ago, it
Oh,
would
yeah.
have been gone in a month,
I'd been-
maybe less.
Fuck that, I would've been dead in 3 hours.
True. I mean, now, I would make something with it, but I've also put in the time, the effort, and been in the journey long enough to have learned how to make 50 grand turn into $1 million.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't have that responsibility, knowledge, skill, or any of that shit before.
No.
That's what I'm saying, he was talking about like, we all want, we all still want it, I think you even mentioned it too, like, we all still want, we all still want it now, right? But we all understand, right?
That's a
Like,
human
instead of-
condition, I think, man. We all want what we want now, but
Yeah, but it.
those who get what they want are the ones that put the time, effort, consistency, and patience to it.
But in addiction, we, in our life, we found a way to get what we
That's
wanted.
because
right
this
now.
didn't take very long.
Yeah.
That's why I shot my drugs, because I was that impatient.
Yes, sir.
Like, snorting it ain't quick enough, so I'm gonna fucking bang it.
You have no money, just go steal or rob somebody, right?
Yep.
This dope man ain't at the spot, you're going to another one. Not waiting. Nope, right? It's like, I think you get so accustomed to that life that like doing actually honest work, like we're supposed to do, that requires patience.
It's a new habit.
It is. It's a habit that we have to get used to.
Screeching halt to the slowdown.
But yeah, I think you're right, I think it's just human nature, everybody wants what they want it now. My money, and I want it now.
Some of us are worse than others. Addicts and alcoholics are definitely in that category.
Raph, what do you think, buddy?
You know me, I'm a thinker. No, I
That's good,
I just,
'cause
I
we
just
appreciate that.
love to listen to everybody's points of interest towards the topic. And I hear you speaking on the reward system, right, of recovery. And I'm a 20-year, drug addict, and I practice patience with my addiction, as we talked about earlier. And now that you bring up like the rewards of like recovery, it's like, what was my reward for like putting a needle in my body for all those years? And it's like, okay. Cause there's gotta be some repercussions, right, to all this shit I've done, right? All the patience I put into to my addiction. And, here we go, there's this, now I got this side of the street I gotta clean up, right? This dirty side of the street, right? Years of bad shit I've done, and I hurt a lot of loved ones. And I gotta figure out how to clean this up, because it destroys me inside, because now I get these feelings back, and I'm starting to, really think about the people I affected, like my daughter, right? Like someone that like I really love, And I'm like, okay, now I gotta face these things, and I wanna get it fixed, like 32 seconds of treatment. I want my daughter back in my life, I wanna be a productive father in her life, and I want her to call me dad again. And well, I've been around for a few years here, and it's still in the making, like between me and her and stuff, and back on like trusting the process, having faith, and like, right, I see guys, I got people that I recovered with that have been in the exact situation that I'm in, right, and they're rebuilding these relationships, right, and some quicker than others, and but seeing like the results of like people applying themselves to something, like rather than getting high and drinking, whatever, it's a program or if it's their therapy, like that takes patience too. Like you think seeing a therapist here 12 times, a dozen times in your stay is going to cure you? There's aftercare, right? I went to therapy for fucking months and stopped and came back,
Me too.
and then still stay in constant contact with my therapist, like on a daily basis now. Like I chat with them, and that goes to like your program too, or whatever you're working. Like we have this shitstorm of fuckery from our past, and we have to like start cleaning that up somewhere down the road, and we gotta, and it's not gonna happen in a short time period, it's just not gonna. I've yet to see it happen. I've yet to see that miracle where a man has walked in and out of these doors and I've been absolutely cared of everything. And I'm not just staying here, I'm staying everywhere, bro. And that's me, that's speaking from me, a guy who's fallen off and, and had to pick myself back up with like the grace of all my people. And I had to have patience with that. That was fucking tough, dude. Tough shit. Like some of the toughest shit I ever did, And kind of like, I hate that it results back to like the surrender thing again, but
And we're back.
That's alright, I'm gonna post that too.
I can't help myself but to like say like I have to, there's a point where like I look back and we speak on the patience that we put in and the passion to our addiction, and then we get out, right, and we gotta like, we kind of make or break it, right, we have to surrender our lives. That doesn't involve going back to this or this, rather whatever it is. And we have to accept the fact that like, this is probably gonna take some time, right? This is gonna take time, and that's really the question that like everybody has to ask yourself. One of the little talks that you have with yourself, it's like, am I willing to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Am I willing to challenge myself and be patient with the outcomes that life is going to deliver me without going back to that shit for the rest of my life? And then surrender, right? When we surrender ourselves, so just like Doc said, make sure that there's going to be some sort of fucking reward at the end of it, right? We know if we don't drink and drug, there's a fucking reward at the end of this, right? That is a fucking beautiful life, right? We get the grace, we get the opportunity to do what we get to do, right? By choice, right? I mean, the sky's the limit, man. It's good stuff. That was probably one of like the most powerful alumni I've been to in a while.
I felt that.
I got more stuff out of some of the shares and docs that like I like no longer seek for like myself, but for like use for others. And like I thinking of like children. Like I want this is something I can apply to my young boys like that are like growing up and like involving themselves in like clubs and sports and like girls and stuff. I'm like make sure you do really good at what you're doing. Give it your everything.
You can change the trajectory of an entire family tree.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's a game.
Yeah. Big time. And
Instead of repeating all the shit we've all been
Yeah.
through and done.
And me and my old lady, we come from, the shits.
And you're also the ones in your families that are changing a lot of shit. And I'm not gonna get into that, but we know, we've seen it already.
Right. I like your point though about getting out of treatment and like wanting to get your daughter back like immediately 32 seconds
Yeah.
after you said, and I gotta say like I'm really grateful just to be surrounded by all of you with all the teachings that I've gotten from ECS, and one of the big things that they teach is simply just don't go out there, like I was saying in alumni, don't go out there and try to get your family back. Don't go out there and try to get a girlfriend. Don't go out there and try to get for me, like, my son is 2 hours away from here, and now I'm seeing him once a week and it's awesome, and these small steps, it's unsupervised, whatever. But I came out of ECS knowing that I have to spend a lot of time investing in myself, and that time is going to take time, until I can finally have a platform for myself and my son to stand on. And then after I make a platform big enough for both of us, I've got to take time to make a bigger platform for myself, my son, and then my daughter. And then after that, I've got to make a bigger platform for, whatever else I develop. And all of this is going to take time. But until I've got a platform with my 2 feet solid on that, I have no intention of trying to introduce something and making my life unstable. And that's where a lot of the patience comes from, is just accepting that it's not so much that I don't deserve it, but I haven't earned it yet. And I know that it will take some time, but it will happen.
Patience.
Time and patience.
Well, I say it a lot to the guys, well, not a lot, but at least
I
every
do.
so often, like,
And you fucking listen.
you,
I appreciate the hell out of that.
you have to like start thinking, instead of fucking hours and days, it's gotta be fucking months, years, and decades. It's just the way it fucking is. If you want these bigger things that you say you want, that's what it's gonna take.
I think bigger.
Yeah.
Want bigger, think bigger.
Those videos from Pedro says it,
Yeah.
fucking Andy Frisella says it.
Mylette says it, they all say the same
And
shit.
it-
Look at them.
It's just so true. Like, the big things are going to take, let's just be honest, big amounts of time.
And a lot of fucking work.
A lot of fucking work.
And consistency.
Good shit, guys.
Yeah, it's good.
I got one question.
I don't know why, the way they came out was fucking awesome.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Whoever could answer this, because sure, we talked about how we can have patience and why we have patience, but what does someone do when they get to a point where they feel like they can no longer be patient, when they feel like they're not getting anywhere? How does somebody retrain their brain into thinking you are doing well enough? Like, what kind of suggestion, like, if I was like, what I'm doing is not worth it, I don't want to
sit
do it
back and
anymore.
Take stock of what I had or what I lost and what I had.
Gratitude this.
do it with my power list, honestly. I can look back at that shit and see where I was and see where I'm at, and it's fucking black and white statistics. I'm all doing the right things 90% of the time, and I am a lot different than I was a year ago, and that's all I gotta know.
Finding anything else, ask your friends.
I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of a couple things we talked about tonight, man, is talk to people, you know, look at your plan. Maybe your plan sucks, maybe you need a new plan. You know, we talk to people like, you know, I mean, if what you're doing is not working, but if you decide that it's not worth it, then you have to decide what's gonna be worth it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if what you're working on, you decide like, oh, it's not worth all this work and all this aggravation and all this stress and how the time it's gonna take, well, then that's your decision. That you're
Reset
entitled to.
your vision then.
But you
Like
gotta
what
accept,
will be.
you gotta accept too that plans can always change.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
what I mean,
count
like
for
reset your
marriage.
vision.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, that's 100% it, like if this isn't worth it, then what it, like you said, what is?
What is?
Then set a new fucking goal and then go that direction. You don't have to like, it's not a straight line to where you're trying to go anyway, man.
No.
It's all over the place and that destination might change a little bit.
I think there's a lot of different answers for that question, but I think that the best one was to talk to somebody, get an outsider's point of view. Because you may not be seeing it because you're trapped in all this, but to hear somebody else say, dude, look at what you've done, if, you know, or just like you said, and you said, just take inventory of what you've actually accomplished. And then figure out if it's worth continuing to go in that direction, or if you have to hang a right or something, as long as you're not going backwards.
Right.
That's it.
You know what, this too, you know, I was thinking, you ever made a solid foundation that you can like rely on yourself in your life before?
Alright.
Okay, so, right, you know any people that may have made some foundations in their life that are pretty set in stone and,
I know a couple.
okay, well, here's the thing, you know, when I'm at work and I'm doing things that are way above my pay grade, right? And I know I can make a big error, right? And it could cost a ton of money. So you know what I do? I call somebody who knows a little bit better than me, right? And I have them come down and double check my work. Back into like falling into self, it's like, I got this, right? I can do this on my own, right? And we walk out of the treatment door and we're across the street at the liquor store, right? We call, you know, that constant communication with another alcoholic, therapist, sponsors, mentors, spiritual advisors, bosses, parents, whoever. It could be anybody, friends, right? Any of these guys here will call you out on your bullshit, right? And then they'll let you know when you're doing a good job too. Like I've had reassurance for some years now that the guys around here will let you know when you're doing well, and they'll let you know when you're not doing well. You know, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like, wow.
We all need
It's a
it.
good story, yeah.
It's a good sword. I had a bolt for me last week. I had,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's
I humbled myself. I went and told my old lady, I said, I got humbled.
That wasn't my intention per se. I was
but it's-
concerned.
And I appreciated it, you know, and I immediately knew.
Well, you've done that for me before too. so.
I know. That's the stuff, dude. Like that's the stuff that we can do that. And we can fucking get some growth out of it. Like I wake up the next morning, I feel relieved from that stuff. And that's why it's important, like when you're working on something new and you get like these new guys, which comes with patience. Like it took a long time to like get solid friends in recovery. Solid ones. And once you start to develop those relationships with people, you're going to, it'll help you grow, right? It'll help that foundation, right? Because when I try to take on a job by myself, bro, it usually takes a lot longer. When I got when I got a whole crew helping me now, hey bro, check it out. You know what's going on over on my side of the street, right? We were just talking about while we were breaking bread in here. I got a lot of good things going on. I didn't do it I did not do it by myself.
Me either. Never will.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I got a lot of intelligent people right here that I can rely on, that can have thoughts that are definitely better than mine a lot of the time. so.
Yeah, amen to that.
I love no matter the topic, somehow it always boils down to having the right people around you.
Everything that.
And staying in communication
that-
with them.
Well, that's a massive piece of the
That's,
puzzle.
that's probably the biggest piece to
For
this.
me, it's been
It
the
is.
biggest one.
Probably me too, in all honesty,
And
Absolutely.
because I definitely don't have all the best answers all the time.
be 0% of the time.
I mean, and like for me, like, in going on, like, I know my wife's there,
You don't understand.
but she's not gonna understand. She's gonna tell me I understand, cause oh, well, my, you know, my mother was an alcoholic, so I get it, she understands some of the addiction end of it. But I can't talk to her how I'm gonna call him, or how I'm gonna call you when I'm pissed off,
Mhm.
or when I'm just struggling. Because I don't wanna tell my wife I'm struggling. What man wants to?
That's another conversation.
Well, that's what mine loses their patience with me a lot, and I have it coming. You good?
I think so, I think that's a good video.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
need to
good.
go to fucking sleep, so.
Same here.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Share it as always, if you like, if you got something out of it, reach out if you or anybody you know needs help. Any of us here would be glad to help.
Thank you for watching.
Love ya.
See you next time.